program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana. 1.4 billion Pula in profits. This astronomical figure was announced as profit before tax by the First National Bank of Botswana at the bank's financial results announcement for the full-year period ended 30 June 2023. The bank also announced a 32% return on equity and a dividend per share of 32 thebe, marking a 23% increase from 26 thebe for the same period in 2022. First National Bank of Botswana was contending in an environment that was challenged by new competition in the market and inflationary pressures that affected household disposable income, amongst other hurdles. Despite these, the bank forged forth to come out on the other side unscathed. With the theme for this year's announcement being shared prosperity, what is the bank's future looking like to keep its positive upward growth? We're joined by the bank's Chief Executive Officer, Stephen Bogatsu, who will speak on the business faction of the results announcement, and later Chief Financial Officer at the bank, Dr. Mbako Mbo, to speak on the financials. Steve, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. Stellar performance at the full-year results announcement. Please talk to us about some of the key changes or improvements that the bank made that may have led to this galactic outcome.
Thank you very much, Bonasero. Indeed, the team has done very well. We are all pleased with the effort that was put into producing these results. This theme starts from the recovery after the 2 year of absence or slowdown following COVID. So just looking at the balance sheet, we had taken a position to be a bit conservative with our advances after COVID. So we obviously decided to start opening the taps even more. We had not closed down completely. We had just taken a more conservative stance during COVID. So we decided to open the taps a lot more with the opening of the rest of the economy. So we have seen some good growth coming in from the retail space. We have previously also indicated that the commercial space, that is the SMEs and other upper commercial clients, that segment had previously been regressing. So we began to put some efforts into growing that loan book. So we have seen a good 8% growth in the commercial space, particularly for companies in the tourism industry, as well as some of the companies, the smaller companies that are taking advantage of programs such as SIP with Dapswana and other organizations such as Bomorupuli. So from a loan, a balance sheet perspective, those are the developments that contributed to the performance. We had also, again, just on the eve of COVID, the lockdowns, taken a prudent approach to provisioning. And we have seen some of these provisions not being required anymore because the situations that we had anticipated did not materialize. And we ended up releasing some of the provisions that we no longer needed. Then on the income front, on the non-interest revenue front, we have seen a 7% growth in that area as a result of, number one, increased volumes, and number two, efforts paying off around increasing our customer base. So in a nutshell, those are some of the factors that contributed to the results that we presented today.
You know, not to take away from the stellar work that you and your team have done, but there is a misconception that the bank is so profitable, making so much money because of exuberant charges or banking fees charged to customers, obviously. Perhaps at this point, you could, if you will, demystify those and quite explain how, first of all, charges work, and, you know, further reiterate how profitability came.
Yeah. So there are a number of areas, and we have noted our customers' concerns. We are the first to admit that we can improve, particularly how we communicate our charges. So there are a number of things that are only peculiar to us as far as bank charges are concerned. And there is a lot that we can still do to actually communicate better and lay out our pricing structure in a manner that customers understand. That's a process that we are busy working on. There is even the mode of charging, where some of our competitors charge you as and when you use their products. But we have chosen to accrue, if I can use that word, to accrue the fee and only charge you on the anniversary of your account. Your anniversary of your account may fall on any day when you open the account. So for instance, if you opened your account on the 12th of the month, all your charges for that particular month are going to hit your account on the 12th of the month, which you will appreciate may not necessarily be aligned to your pay date. The 12th could be a couple of days before you get paid, and therefore the charges really come in when you need your money most in your account. Having said that, we are also cognizant of the complaints that we've been receiving, both through interviews with our customers and even on social media. And we have taken steps to actually do something about the complaints that our customers have been giving us, or the feedback that they have been giving us. We have decided to take away some of the fees. So a couple of weeks ago, in fact, a couple of months ago, we published on the local newspapers some of the fees that we have decided we are doing away with in response to some of the customer complaints. We have reduced some of the fees. And I think it's important to add that before our fees are approved, the regulator actually goes through our fees with a fine toothbrush to make sure that we are charging in line with the market. So there is a lot of back and forth lasting a couple of months before we are eventually allowed to effect some of the annual price changes. And one thing that I can give you assurance on is that we don't, for most of our fees, they are not even aligned to inflation. So whatever the inflation, the average inflation is or is expected to be going forward, we come in with our annual fee increases right under inflation.
Each economy, or every economy, is brought to life by SMEs. Perhaps at this point you could talk to our local SMEs and what the bank is doing to empower them to continue to be the lifeblood of our own economy within which the bank operates.
We honestly believe that the future of the development of this country is going to hinge a lot on the potential of SMEs, on the growth of SMEs. We see them as an engine of growth for the economy going forward, like it is in many other countries. And we know that some of the challenges that SMEs face include support in nurturing their businesses, helping their businesses grow to medium size or even larger organizations, include access to finance. So there are a number of initiatives that we have embarked on around empowering SMEs to ensure that they do not fail as SMEs and actually progress to being medium-sized and larger organizations. So our commercial department has a number of those initiatives that they have put in place in order to handhold SMEs out of SME environment into a growth phase. Number two, we have signed agreements with the likes of Pula, with the likes of Debswana, and many other organizations where we are forming some kind of tripartite that involves the off-taker, that involves the SME, as well as the bank as the financier, to ensure that we give access to finance to most of these SMEs because the risk has actually been mitigated by the fact that there is an off-taker in this whole arrangement. Those are some of the arrangements that we have gone into. We have put the building blocks in place, the frameworks and everything, resourcing. We continue to resource the area that is responsible for these alliances or these arrangements. And we believe that is primarily one of the reasons why we have seen an uplift of about 8% growth in the commercial space, and we expect a lot more. We have also introduced some other products. I mentioned a Speedy. This is on the payments side that is used by various SMEs, including those who apply their trade motseleng hela along the road. This Speedy comes at a much lower cost compared to the normal POS machine. So these are some of the initiatives that we have put in place in order to support SMEs.
Lastly, Steve, to close our review of the results, we could speak to the future of growth. Reaching such heights can prove a bit difficult to maintain, let alone surpass, given the unpredictable environment within which you operate. So without revealing too much, what business approach is the bank adopting or has adopted to ensure steady and perhaps sustainable growth?
If I look at our various segments, I often say on the retail front, it doesn't matter what the economy is going through, there is always scope for growing the advances book, depending on your risk appetite, depending on what you believe is happening in the environment, and what controls and safeguards you have put in place to ensure that you are actually collecting from the retail market. So we have put in place a number of measures that ensure that with the growth in the retail book, we are able to collect and to advise our customers against irresponsible lending, and just ensure that we are educating them well enough to know that they need to take the right product for the purpose that they want the loan for. So we continue with that education, and for as long as we have those control measures in place, we are able to grow the retail book. So that's on the retail front. Now on the commercial front, as I said, we've been putting in place building blocks. We believe that we are still going to see a lot more growth in the SME space, the SME part of commercial, that there are lots and lots of opportunities, particularly given the tripartite alliances that I was referring to earlier with various stakeholders, because it's not only the likes of Botswana, Murupule, it's all large companies operating in this economy, both in the private sector and at government level, where we believe some of our clients in the R&B space, who are much larger organizations, need some of these SMEs as service providers and as providers of product to these larger firms. So there is a lot that we can do around that ecosystem to ensure that the SME is actually growing, and that's a growth area that we are looking at.